Hi again folks, and yes, it's another Hornby Railways Catalogue. This is the 1974 edition, and it was kindly sent to me by Duncan, who sent me the Caledonian Railways Pug to work on recently. 1974 is one of those years that I really have no recollection of. I would have been 9 years old. I was probably starting to get interested in model railways at that point, but the first catalogue I had was the 1975 one. But I think 1974 I was probably still messing around with Action Man and stuff like that. So it'll be very interesting to have a look at this one, because up until about 1975 I have very little recollection of what I was doing with model railways. So let's have a look at this. I mean, the front cover is quite interesting actually. I mean, it's obviously an old painting. And if you look at the back, it's an advert for Rico Scenic Accessories that I've recommended for Hornby Railways. I wish somebody still did trees like that. I seem to remember having some Rico trees, and I don't think there's much like that on the market now. You know, I would love some of those pine trees, and some of those birch trees would be really good. Anyway, so 20 pence this cost out of, what's that, nonnies? Yeah, okay. And it's the double O gauge scale model catalogue edition 20. The front cover there, yeah, it's almost Enid Blyton really, isn't it? It's very children's book coverish. Interesting. I wonder if that's a real painting or if it was commissioned for the catalogue. Right, let's have a look inside. And we've got the track plans, same picture that was in a couple of the later catalogues, so that's all very familiar. Train talk, service dealers. Oh, here we go about the painting. Terence Cunio's painting, The Licky Incline. The Licky Incline, okay, is featured on the cover of the 1974 catalogue and depicts an LMS train with two bankers pressing on up the famous Licky Incline. The painting is reproduced by kind permission of Felrose Limited. So, that painting is known as the Licky Incline. Okay. And we've got a little bit about where you can store your layout. Class 47 there. Oh, a choice of two clockwork sets. Wow. And we had synchro smoke in these days and magnadhesion. And the grey power controller. See, mine were black. I wonder if they're different in any way. Battery operated sets. That boat is not to scale. I can't remember if I said when I was going through the 1976 catalogue, but I never had a train set. I have never had a train set in my life. My dad brought me into the hobby with the Cardiff Castle and some double track that he had, and you know, it was just built up from there. But I never actually had a boxed train set. But these must have been great Christmas presents to get. You know, you just open them up, stick the battery in, and you can go away into a corner in the living room. You don't have to worry about plugging it in and have some fun with it. A great starter. So yeah, I think I kind of missed out never getting a train set. Oh, the blue Pullman. Wow. I think I've maybe seen that on eBay a couple of times, but usually in a pretty poor state. So that's quite interesting, and that came in a set as well. And there's the Freightmaster set with a different set of wagons. Electric train sets. So nothing really changed here between 74 and 76. Well, they still had the Intercity Mail action train set back then. Oh, there's the car transporter. I've actually got one of those. Yeah, I remember getting that, and I've still got it with all the cars. It's complete. It's in a box somewhere. Oh, I like that pipe bolster wagon. And here we go. An operating side tipping car set. And what the hell? Helicopter. I've not seen that before. Oh, blimey, I'd have loved that when I was a kid. I mean, it's a rubbish looking helicopter, but what's the deal here? It's got a wind up mechanism in the base of the car, And the helicopter fits onto the car, and as the car is hauled round the track and past a special trip lever attached to a section of System 6 straight track, the chopper is automatically launched and soars into the air. Yeah, I bet it doesn't. Track and locomotive not included. I absolutely loved that. That would have been great fun. Operating side tipping car set. Load the pipes onto the flat car. When the car passes the operating ramp fitted to a straight section of System 6 track, the top of the car is tilted up from one side, and the upright stanchions collapse, and the load of pipes is tipped off the car. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't appeal to... I would love a bolster wagon with pipes, yeah, but tipping? I don't know. Lifting off with a crane would have been more appropriate, I think. And there's the ore wagon set, if you had floating track. I mean, that just looks horrendous. Track packs. I don't think I ever had track packs. Maybe my dad got track packs. I remember my dad turning up now and again with new track and points, so, but I don't think it was ever track packs. I think he just bought what we needed. I remember him turning up one day with a big box of Pico flexible track, and it hardly got used, but it all got used when I built this layout just now. I used all the sections of flexible track out of that box. So it eventually came into use about 40 years later. Track plans. I need to get a look at some track plan books. These are from the 3rd edition, available mid-1974. I'm guessing track plans books didn't come out every year. I can't remember. I only remember having 2 track plan books. But I really like looking through them. You know, it was fascinating looking at these pictures of the layouts and dreaming about what your layout could be, and trying to figure out how it all worked. I remember sitting looking at these thinking, right, so if you flick that point there, why is this bit insulated and blah blah blah, you know, trying to figure it all out. Here we go, power control. Oh, there's 3 of them. Now see, in my day there was just the 2. There was the R900 and the R902 or whatever it was. So what's the deal here? You've got the power controller. When you extend your layout and acquire, you can add on the R920 circuit controller. So why is there this one? The ideal power controller to use when you know you will eventually enlarge your layout to operate 3 trains simultaneously. At least 2 circuit controllers can be added to this unit. So what they're saying is, I think, is that you could buy that and plug in one of those, or you could buy that and plug in up to 2 of those, but you couldn't plug in 2 of those into one of those. Yeah, that's a great idea, Hornby. No wonder you changed it. Why not just sell those and get rid of that? Honestly, you do wonder sometimes, don't you? But that's a great picture of how it all worked, how it had your points clipping into the top of the controller, and this bit folded back, and you could have diagrams for all your points. It was, I thought it was great. I loved it. But it's amazing that their switches that have not changed to this day. They are exactly the same. The point motors are different, but the switches are exactly the same. And I guess they don't need to be any different. You know, they work fine. That's what I use, and they do the job. And I think there's a great attraction in them, you know, because it's like a little signal box. It's there's something very tactile about these old switches rather than pushing buttons or flicking little toggle switches. Pulling these levers is very satisfying. New in funky font, silver seal steam and diesel locomotives. Here's an Evening Star. That was missing in the 76 catalogue, I think. Black 5 and the Oliver Cromwell. I'd quite like to get the Oliver Cromwell actually. That was the... my knowledge isn't that great, but I'm pretty sure wasn't the Oliver Cromwell the last steam locomotive to run in actual service? I think. So I'd like to get one of them. It would be nice with my BR Maroon coaches I've just got. So yeah, Oliver Cromwell is on my want list. Steam and diesel locomotives. Yeah, it's the same old lineup. The same little diagram, but care and maintenance. And this does have the synchro smoke mechanism, which I've yet to come across. Not encountered one of them yet. The IVIC class. New. Famous company locomotives. Again, pretty much the same old lineup, but the big old coordination class there, the 8P. I think I would have to say, in all honesty, that those are my least favourite locomotives. I just think they're horrible looking things. I guess some people like them, it's all subjective, but I do not want one of those in my layout. So if anybody ever wants me to fix one of those, well, I'll put you to the bottom of the list probably. I'm only joking. Coaches, no change between then and 76. So it's got new here. I'm guessing that the sleeper car was new. I had that, and the dining car. Same coaches as 1974, but I'm noticing there that the Pullmans were new in 74. Wagons and Vans. Okay, anything different here? There's my little crane, which is broken. Yeah, a little bolster wagon. See, what happened to those? I'd like to get some of these. The bigger ones, though. And this little flat wagon with its little boat. The little flat wagon with detachable wheels. It was green in 74. It was red in 76. I'm pretty sure it was red in 75. Some more wagons. And my crane that I now have. And there's the car transporter with 6 cars. The Freightliner depot crane with container. Yeah, that would have been quite good fun. It looks quite big, that though. You need quite a big layout for that. International ferry van and a 100-ton chemical tanker. Do you know, I think they had better rolling stock in 74 than they did in 76. Station sets and buildings, no change. Got some people though. R360 railway figure set. Again, that's disappeared by 1976. I'm pretty sure I had these and still got some of them actually. The horrible old red station buildings. I do like these canopies though. Always liked those. Construction kits. So there's my houses and my petrol station. And yeah, I didn't comment on this in the 76 catalogue, but a few people mentioned in the comments of the video about the operating lifting bridge. It goes for a fair price now apparently. Again, no real change between 74 and 76. Turntable there with one of those things on it. And what's this? An automatic relay train control set. I don't remember that. There's the signal control, automatic points control for automatic train operation on any layout from a simple oval circuit to a complex advanced model railway. Okay, let's see what it says here. The automatic railway control set offers a variety of possibilities for including automatic starting and stopping of trains on a layout. For example, a train on one circuit can be made to start and stop a second train automatically on a separate circuit, or 2 trains may be run on a simple oval without any fear of accident. Illustrated as another possibility where one train is stopped at a diamond crossing whilst a second train passes in front of it. All this is achieved by connecting the train operated switches called pressure switches to an electric switch called a relay, and then connecting the relay to an isolated section of tracks. Do you know, no wonder these things died out, because I'm reading that and I'm struggling to get in my head what it's doing. I kind of get it. And I guess the DCC guys must look at this and just burst out laughing, but you know, they were trying to automate trains stopping and starting in relation to each other by trains hitting little relay switches and isolating the track. Not a bad idea actually, but I guess it brought trains to an instant stop, which would have been horrendous. Automatic points control set. I don't know, with passing the train automatically, each in turn waiting for the other to clear the main line. This can be achieved because Hornby points are self-isolating, which means blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I've got no recollection of these at all. It's very interesting, so please leave a comment if you remember these and if it worked or if it was any good or what the problems were. To me, in my mind, what's going to happen, the train's going to be coming along and just go stop to allow another train to come past and then boom, off again. You know, that's not very good for your locomotives. And from reading that, I think for most people who were coming into model railways at the time, it was probably just beyond them. You know, it's probably quite a complex thing to do. I think instead of these, if Hornby had introduced a shuttle system, it would have been more popular. So you could run end-to-end trains automatically, rather than trying having trains interact with each other. That all gets a bit complicated. But a simple shuttle system would work quite well, and I'm still thinking of putting one into my layout. System 6 track and Silver Seal track. A market research question here. Alright, come on, we'll have to do the market research question here. Okay, so question 1. How did you start with Hornby Railways? Set, individual items, or a complete layout? Well, I never had a train set. I guess I didn't have a complete layout, so I think the closest thing would be individual items is what I started with. How old were you when you first had a train set? I never had a train set. Don't rub it in. Question 3, but I'd be 9, 10-year-old when I started getting into model railways probably. Where do you use your layout? Room, loft, garage, other places? Room. Where is it stored? Against the wall? Well, initially yes, sometimes it was against the wall, and then later on it was under the bed, and then later on it got set up properly. So I suppose the answer there is other. Do you mainly operate your layout alone, with friends, father and son? Well, these days it's alone, unless counting but you guys counts. When I was young, yeah, I had a pal who used to come round, and my dad used to play with the trains with me, so all three really. Have you extended your layout with track packs, individual components, flexible track? Individual components and flexible track, I would say. Which do you enjoy more, building your layout or operating your layout? I don't really think that's a very fair question, to be honest. I guess I see what they're trying to ask. Do you just like to play with your trains, or are you a modeler? Really, that's what it's saying, I suppose. Or do you enjoy the technical side of it as well? So I really wouldn't like to say I enjoy one or the other more. I get equal enjoyment from both. What extra accessories would you like to add to your layout? Maybe some more signals, people, cars, you know, that kind of thing. More trees. People, trees, cars and signals. Does your layout contain scenery? Yes, it does. Do you prefer to buy your buildings in kit form or ready-made? Well, that entirely depends. I'd be quite happy to buy them ready-made if they look good. But if they're cheap, nasty plastic things, then no, I'd maybe prefer to build the kit. But you can always take a ready-made one and spend some time making it look good, you know, just enhancing the paintwork. So I really wouldn't mind. You know, there's advantages to ready-made, saves you a bit of time. And as I say, you can still do what you like with it. You can still make, you know, customize it a little bit. And kit form, well, you've got the fun of building the kit. I don't really have a preference, basically. Do you prefer steam or diesel locomotives? I have no preference, to be honest. I like steam locomotives, but I also like diesel locomotives. I like both. I'm too young to remember steam locomotives in service. I don't remember steam locomotives. I've only seen a steam locomotive in action a couple of times, you know. So to me, they were always, you know, things of yesteryear. But I don't have a preference when it comes to model railways. I think each have their own fascination and their own appeal. And I know some people do have preferences. Some people won't go near diesels, and some people have only diesels, and that's all absolutely fine. You know, these things are entirely subjective. Personally, I like them both equally. As I say, I have a kind of a soft spot for diesels because it's what I remember when I was a kid. But I still love steam engines. Who doesn't love steam engines? You know, so No, I can't really answer that. I don't have a preference, basically. What new locomotives would you like to see in the Hornby range? Well, looking at what's available there, there's a whole load of stuff that they could have added in. I guess if I was looking based on this catalogue, what's missing is a DMU. But then when you look at what they did with the DMU, it was a bit of a horror show. But yeah, a DMU with a Ringfield motor. That's what I'd have liked to have seen in the Hornby range at that time. How many of your friends have a model railway? Well, when I was at school, plenty of kids had a train set. There was lots of kids had train sets, but it was usually, in a box in one of their cupboards, or in bits and didn't work and whatever. But I had one pal who did have what I would call a model railway, a permanently set up model railway. And finally, is there anything that you particularly dislike about the Hornby range? And if so, can you suggest any improvements? I think looking at this catalogue, this is 74 and I've looked at the 76 one and I can kind of remember what's in the 75 one. The thing I really disliked about the Hornby range back then is those red station buildings. Absolutely horrendous. I remember hating them then as a kid. I just thought they don't look like station buildings. They would just look like nasty cheap toys. They just didn't fit at all. So I think that would have been my answer there. As I don't like your station buildings. Replace them with something that looks like it's made from real bricks, which they did go on to do, of course. Unlike the 76 catalogue, there's not bits on stamp collecting and minic ships and other stuff. An old advert there for Railway Modeller. I had a few of those. 20p. That's at December 1973. So there we go, 1974. As I say, it's not a standout year for me at all. I have no big standout recollection from that year. I don't think it was a particularly eventful year for me, but I'm pretty sure I probably was starting to get into model railways at that time, and it would be 75 when it really started going, and I started building a proper layout, I think, with my dad. So thanks again to Duncan for sending me this catalogue. He did also send a couple of others as well, so we'll look through those at some point soon. Okay folks, catch us later.